a lot of times people don't know if they're having a boy or a girl, and it's kind of meant to be a baby shower gift. Also, a lot of people want something that's more versatile, so that's kind of the thinking behind unisex pieces. And because we're a new company and we're a startup and we're small, having only one color reduces chance of error because there's less places where there can be complications.
So yes, that is local to the US out here, but they also have one in Hong Kong. And so but we're focused on basically like out here in the US.
Because that's like the one thing that you don't ever see in large scale charitable givings. Everyone's doing stuff in Africa, and I know that Oprah has gotten a lot of slack for that, is that everyone's doing all this stuff in Africa, and a lot of major companies are ignoring the real situations here at home.
Yeah.
So it's actually nice to see someone doing something here locally versus sending charitable givings elsewhere and not benefiting.
And that's great that you brought that up, because Bring Me a Book is very much focused on like the issues in our own backyard, right? So we're kids in East Palo Alto that we deliver books to, they don't even have books. And so they're right there in East Palo Alto. So we're definitely focused on our own backyard and the importance of like helping the kids out here first, you know? So great point.
Yeah. And we're concentrated in San Francisco and LA, and Bring Me a Book also has an affiliate in LA. So when we're doing stuff down there, we can partner with them and do book drives. We'll do a book drive at one of the boutiques we're selling in. And so we're really bringing in not only like Bring Me a Book as a foundation, but also our retail partners. So that just makes the impact so much greater.
Yeah. And essentially the one in Hong Kong is that they are also an affiliate, so they brought the same concept, but it's like a different company almost. And so they help the kids in Hong Kong. And so yes, we have different affiliates in the US and Hong Kong.
And our vision really is to help Bring Me a Book grow as we grow. So when we expand to a new community, we can help Bring Me a Book there. And yeah, that would be US focused.
Yeah. And I was smelling it too. I noticed like the smell is very different from the new clothes smell of like other non-organic products. There's like, I don't know, I was just smelling it. So.
Yeah, and actually that's a really great point. So part of merchandising, we feel like things are more successful when you hit as many senses as possible. So there's a visual element, there's the touch and feel. So when we merchandise it, we try to find a way to have the product outside of the box so people can feel the fabric. But then there's the smell. So we actually spray all of our products with an organic lavender spray. And that goes out to the families when we get orders, we send them that way. And before they go to the stores, they're like packed with lavender. So yeah. And you're right, there's no chemicals. So you're missing that whole fun experience of walking into a store and getting that crazy intense air. Yeah. We have I'll let you talk about our pieces.
So we launched with that piece for the crowdfunding campaign, and we raised enough money to move into production with that piece and the box. And so we do have a full collection that we've just finished.
Yeah.
Actually, Anna helped us a lot with working on like the sketches. She was a student out here. And so we just finished that and we sent it out to the factories. We're working with new factories in Peru and Vietnam. So yes, we'll have a whole new collection before Christmas.
Yeah, and we kind of broke it into two kind of categories. So we have the gifts that are more like high end and definitely packaged as gifts, and then we have some pieces that are more basics. And the thinking behind that is, this is our introduction to our customer base. And once moms and families are familiar with our brand, they can pick up more pieces from us that are at a slightly lower price point that fit their daily needs. And yeah, so those will be on our website, but we can send the link.
How much is this one?
This is $88 retail. Yeah.
And we wanted to add accessories too. When she mentioned we're working with Tealers, it's maple wood. Because a lot of the stores that we're going to some of them are toy stores, they don't carry apparel, but they do carry baby accessories. And we want to be able to access those stores as well.
Yeah. We have a play on gender neutral, so we've kind of done not pink and blue is like the standard girl and boy. And we've done some shades of pink and some shades of blue that are like an off color. Like even this is more in the blue family. So they are gender neutral, but they're not, they could be genderized if you want them to be, if that makes sense. So we have like a lavender teal, which is a little more feminine, and we have like a blue orange kind of pair, which is also a little more masculine. Yeah.
We are trying to stay away from pink and blue for now, because if you go into baby stores, everything's like pink or blue. And so that was one of the issues. Like when I was going to a lot of baby showers, there were no other options, and sometimes I didn't know what the baby was going to be also.
Yeah. And when like developing products, we learned that the best way to figure out what the stores want and what parents want is to just ask the stores and ask the parents. Like it sounds really like obvious, but actually there's a tendency to go online and like search and look at what your competitors are doing, and all that is good, but the people that matter are the ones who are buying. So we put together like, basically we visited a ton of homes, like just
and Kendra stops moms on the streets.
I do, yeah.
Yes. And then like, what do you think of this? And so that's how we do a lot of our survey. We speak to moms directly. And so
and we go to the boutiques in the stores and we say, hey, like, what are you guys selling? What do you want to see? And we try to design around that. And we're hearing a lot of like, we love organic, we love color. So we try to inject that into our design.
And one interesting thing is that when we have new samples, you always have to fit them. So what we do is we do house calls. So we go to the parents' home, whatever the baby's age is. We try to find a range between 0 to 12 months. And parents are most comfortable in their home because if you're not aware, babies have specific nap times. And so when we go in, we ask all of their feedback, and they pull out stuff they love and stuff they don't love. And so it's really great also for feedback.
Yeah. So really, like, your customer is your best friend, and that's who you're designing for. And you know, we have ideas, and then we were like, oh, they know better. So we just kind of go with what they tell us a lot of the time and try to infuse like personality into it.
So we have factories in China, Vietnam, and Peru, and we just got out of India. So basically, how do we manage that?
Yeah, so we have different pieces being made in different factories, partly because of availability. Sustainability is important to us. Also, transparency is important to us. And perception. So actually the China factory that produced these did a really amazing job. We loved the work that they did. They were easy to work with. But the perception on the customer level is that China is not a good place to produce, and people don't want to buy products made in China. So part of like what I was talking about education before is educating people on where these things come from and why they're okay or why they're not okay. So we do some stuff in China, but we are trying to move some other pieces out just for that public perception. Peru is easier to manage because it's a 2-hour time difference. That helps a lot. They grow the cotton like locally, so Pima cotton is Peruvian cotton. It's generally grown and harvested near the factories, so that actually cuts down on shipping fabrics back and forth between countries. That happens a lot. And they have like full stack manufacturing, so basically they can harvest the cotton, turn it into fabric, do cut and sew, dye, and then have it to us like in a complete set. That helps a lot because there are times when you do manufacturing and you have to find a factory. You have to source your fabric, and then you ship that fabric somewhere, and then that place dyes your fabric, and then they ship it somewhere, and then it gets cut, and then it goes to another factory, and then it gets sewn. So we try to keep it all in one place. One, for sustainability, two, just to reduce like time it takes to produce products, and to reduce the chance of error. And India, we weren't managing it. It wasn't working well for us, so that's one of the reasons why we moved. Yeah. And Vietnam has some capabilities in embroidery and also in like baby apparel that we like, so we're gonna try it. it sounds like it's great to have only one country, but it's actually not, because a lot of these locations where factories are very dependent on global environments. So you have to think about if there's a natural disaster, or if there's a political event that happens, or if there's a port delay, which we experienced here because of a strike. Like, all these things can happen, and they do often. You have to be diversified, because you don't want to lose orders because your factory is like in lockdown and you can't produce your clothing. So part of our reasoning is, like, if we have a factory in Peru, something goes wrong in Peru, we can move that production to Vietnam until things are back to normal. It's a lot of...
Really, every factory has different workmanship capabilities. We've tried to do that set in India, and it looked completely different. And so what they do in China is that fabric is, specific for that factory. And so that's why, they came up with like the softest fabric and workmanship capabilities, and that's why we definitely went with them.
Yeah.
And also, like, the boxes are from China. So that is also another reason, because when you ship the products by vessel, so you're paying for like 1 cubic meter, right? So you want to put as much as you can in that vessel. So, and it takes a while. It takes about like 6 to 8 weeks. So when it gets here, and then they helped us pre-pack it. So that's why it helped to work with different factories. For sure.
And managing it is just a lot of email, trying to be
So I mean, that's part of how I saw, sorry, I touch upon it. I didn't mention that my mom's been in the apparel industry for 25 years doing production. So I kind of like got a little glimpse of how chaotic it was, and I kind of picked up, like, just got to keep calling and emailing, and that's the only way to get stuff done.
Harass them.
Yes. I mean, I wish I could tell you there was a better way, but there isn't.
But finding good partners matters. Like, if you're working with somebody and it's like really difficult and not working, find somebody else. Yeah. And it might be frustrating, but it's better to find a good partner who gets what you're doing than it is to like force something. And I think like we do just mostly over email. And there is a startup that we're working with. They're based in Palo Alto. They were a 500 startups company, and they're trying to change like manufacturing. So, we're working with them right now to see if we can figure out like a way to do smaller orders. So minimums are a big issue when you're a new company, because the factories want you to make 10,000 pieces, and you're not sure if you can sell 10,000 pieces because you're a new brand and nobody knows about you. And also you don't have like the upfront capital to do it. So being able to do small batch production is a huge benefit. And so this company is trying to basically like batch production. So they'll have a factory who's working with 5-6 brands, and then they can put all those brands pieces into one shipment and get them here. It streamlines a lot of things. It's more sustainable. So they're a startup and working things out. So we're working with them to try to get that moving, and we'll see how it goes. But
hoping for the best.
There's a lot of options. You just trial and error, and you kind of figure out what works for your workflow and your needs. That is a great question. We get asked that a lot. Yes, when we first started looking for production facilities and fabrics, that was our number one goal, and it's like literally impossible right now.
Unless you want to pay $400 for that piece.
We've talked to the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. They're actually based here in San Francisco. They're an amazing organization. We've talked to the founder of Pact. I don't know if you guys have seen Pact Apparel, but it's organic basics. They sell in Whole Foods and online. They both were like, stop trying, because you can't do it in the US. There's no manufacturing set up for that here. And you can get organic cotton, but it's not necessarily organic fabric, and getting it GOTS certified.
I think the process is not in place in the US. So a lot of people get the impression that, made in the US has to be better. But the thing is, like, we have the cotton, but there's no mill, and there's no process in place for it. And so that's the problem. And then the workmanship, I've actually tried it. It hasn't come out the way it should have, and it was a very simple piece that I tried, And so that's also another reason.
Yeah. So I mean, we would love that. I hope that something shifts in manufacturing here, and it's kind of a political thing, but we'd love to see that for sure. I think a lot of people would. Yeah. LA and New York are probably the best places to look for manufacturing in the US. North Carolina does organic cotton, but yeah, it's really difficult. So, yeah.
And you all focus on the book. Why don't you all include a little book in the gift set?
That's a good question. So that's really great feedback that we've heard from a lot of people as well. So we are in the process of writing a book.
So it's not written yet?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. So originally the book is actually not going to the customer, right? The book goes to children in need. But now we're working on a book that will go with the box, and then a book that also goes to the children in
I
need.
think that was also the perception when we did our crowdfunding. A lot of people were like, where's my book? And so actually it was like, because it's packaged in a book box and the book goes to the child in need. But that messaging wasn't clear. And so, but then we wanted to add the book and story of organic. And so it was a good idea. And so we're working with an illustrator to put that together.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great feedback. And yeah, we can tell you, like, I don't know, did you have any questions?
All of the baby's materials go from the organic, so expand to the organic cotton. What kind of organic fabrics do you use?
Right now, just cotton. So we looked into bamboo, and bamboo is not technically actually organic. So there's a lot of misperception around what eco fabrics are organic, which ones are just eco fabrics. There are some synthetic fabrics that are very sustainable, like recycled polyester. It comes from often, Patagonia does a great job of this. They take old clothes, they use that to make new fabrics. It's pretty sustainable. We are looking more into natural fibers, so eucalyptus pulp. We have a knitted mouse toy, and the yarn is made with tencel. It's like a eucalyptus pulp, yeah. So that one is not organic. The way that those crops are grown, it's not really farmed the same way that cotton is or something, so you can't really classify it as organic.
Right. Which is the same as, which you mentioned bamboo, because bamboo just grows faster, and there's no pesticide used in anyway, so they are technically natural, but not organic.
Yeah. And yeah, when you're thinking about sustainability and materials, like, we kind of agonized over a lot of decisions, and sometimes you have to decide, like, is it better to buy a new washing machine that's eco-friendly, or is it better to just repair your old one, right? Like, those are kind of the questions that we think about a lot. Is this actually more sustainable? Like, the label says it is, but is it really? So it's not a cut and dry decision, and I think trying to keep things as locally as possible or as concentrated in one area as possible is the best that we can do right now, and as we grow, we'll keep trying to do better. Yeah.
Sorry. Did you all get feedback from moms who use this product?
Yes.
Did they wash it? How is it as far as that goes?
Yeah, so this one is a line dry piece, and that is probably the biggest thing that we're like trying to figure out, because this fabric is really nice, but it's not super washable, and that's kind of the things with some of the organic fabrics too. They're not treated.
It does shrink about 30%, so which is significant. And so we wanted to basically test it out. Like, we know that moms love that fabric, but we also wanted to get feedback on if they start complaining about the wash. And so far so good, but we are trying to figure out. And every time we work with the factory, we tell them to pre-wash and pre-shrink all the fabrics before they are cut and sew.
Yeah. And so this one, it's a line dry piece, it's a gift. So a lot of times there's layette and there's fashion for babies. And so the layette is definitely more washable, and the fashion is sometimes dry clean only or line dry. And this is kind of more in that category. We label it as that, but once we have more pieces on the market, we'll have to see, like, are people following those wash directions? And there are some pieces that people get as gifts or buy, and it's only for like when they're doing a photo shoot or they're going to a party or things like that. Our other pieces in our collection are very washable cotton jersey and 1x1 ribs, so those pieces they won't shrink. We won't have issues with those. But yeah, it's a really good thing that
Yes.
you definitely have to think about.
Yeah.
And staining too. Do they easily stain? Do they show stains easily?
So I have to test it out. I pour coffee on it, and then I wash it myself and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then we give the feedback back to the factory.
And we have our factories do those tests for us as well.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes you have to follow up because they will say that they've tested, and then you do it yourself, and then you realize, okay, well, the entire fabric just changed colors. So we have to go back and tell them. So there's just a lot of follow up with factories for sure.
Yeah. And the nice thing and also the hard thing with baby clothes, they're highly regulated. So we do have to put everything through a lot of rounds of testing for child safety. And there was one case where we put it through testing and it came out a way that was a red flag for us, and we realized that the fabric we were given was not actually organic. So those are things that you have to. That's why the GOTS is important, because it helps tell you that the factories are actually following protocol. Yeah.
And testing is huge. It's a big part because it's also very costly. So everything, every trims, buttons, the wood that we use, and the shape, everything matters. So I mean that's pretty important. If you ever plan on getting into the baby industry. Yeah.
So GOTS, it's the highest standard for organic apparel, and so by following that, we follow the California criteria. Yeah.
And then there's always the special tests that's just for California. It's like Prop 65, and there are all these extra things that we have to do, extra tests, and obviously a few $100 extra go into it, but it's California.
Yeah. And that's like a chemical test, and there's like the lead testing and all that stuff. But, yeah, so the certifications matter on a consumer level, but like I said before, you don't always know. So we have trips planned to visit all our factories. We do get our fabric actually like DNA tested, so they can tell if there's GMOs. If there's GMOs, it might not be organic. There are organic farms that have a corner that they grow organic cotton and the rest is conventional, and so there can be some crossover, or you don't necessarily know where they harvested from within their farm. So the factory certificate or the farm certificate might say this is organic cotton, and that's because they could show the auditor their patch of organic, but once you blend a harvest of cotton, who really knows? So we do have to go through extra steps to just see, and that's why supply chain transparency really matters.
And just to touch upon, like we talked about with Keenan, like sometimes it's okay to fail to learn. And one of the failures that, so the box also had to be tested, which I didn't know at first because it's not a product that the baby plays with, but because it's considered, packaged together and the box not to be thrown out, and I had already placed my order at that time and it went into full production. So we had to send one to the lab and get it tested. So every color ink had to be tested. And unfortunately, it did come back where there was a magnet here that was showing and came back as, the magnet had lead in it. So essentially, we had to redo that design, and basically we have, about an order that's still out in the factory. And so that you just have to learn from it, and there's a lot of learning involved, especially, starting your own product.
Yeah, and for every one thing that we do, we read like hours and hours and hours of material and talk to tons of people. Like there's somebody that knows better than we do. We try to find those people and ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, I hope it's been helpful for you to learn about everything that we've been through. And please feel free to email us if you have any questions.